Hello YouTube, Hoosier Archer here. This is just going to be a quick comparison video between the original manufacturer and the new manufacturer of the Strikeforce. These are Strikeforce fire starters. This is 20 years old and was made by Survival Incorporated. Now I don't know if Survival Incorporated reorganized and became Ultimate Survival Technologies, or if Survival Incorporated went out of business and Ultimate Survival Technologies bought the patent so that they could manufacture the Strikeforce. But that's not important. What we're just going to do is compare original to new manufacturer. Right away, just to let you know, I can tell that this one, the original manufacturer, is just slightly heavier. I think part of that is that the plastic is thicker and more dense. This, I know for a fact, is ABS plastic. I don't know what kind of plastic this is. It could still be ABS, but there's a little bit of give in this. There is no give in this. I can't get it to yield any when I put pressure on it, but I can get slight yielding on this one. So there's that. Kind of very straightforward. Loosen that, and we have about a 3/4 inch thick by 2.5 inch long ferro rod and what looks like a carbide steel striker, and it does work. The only use this is seen, however, is I scraped off the coating and I used it. I tested it when I first got it, and then I used it in the field 3 times under 3 different conditions. Sunny and dry, wet and cold, and snowy and cold. And wet meant it had been raining for several days. I got a fire started with this all 3 times, and including the initial test. It works quite well. The reason that I haven't used this more in my forays outside is because this was in a survival kit, because I wanted a fire striker that I knew I could rely on in my 5 C's survival kit, and one of those C's is for combustion, and I knew that this was self-contained, and it has a tinder compartment in it. That's another reason that I liked this, and this one actually still has the original wet fire. I might do a video in the very near future to find out if this 20-year-old wet fire will still work. If you're interested in that video, leave a comment down below. I was actually surprised to see this in here, but then I remembered that I almost always, and I do mean almost always, use natural tinder when I make a fire. So I never, or if I don't, I use my own waxed cotton balls, and I've never reached for that wet fire. But so there's no buyer remorse in this one. I've had this in a pack that I knew that if I ever needed it, it was there and I could use it and it would work. Pardon me. So that's the original, and it gets 2 thumbs up in a circle. As I said, there's a little more give in this, and I'm not absolutely positive because I didn't get the tape measure out, but I think this one of new manufacturer is just a little bit slightly longer, just a little bit, but it could be a figment of my imagination. One thing I do know is longer is the striker, and it looks like it's just regular steel. And I discovered something when I tested this one. I scraped the coating off and then I struck just a plain cotton ball and I got it to ignite. But when I struck it, I had it pointing down, and that happened. They have not affixed the ferro rod in the housing in the new manufacture, or at least in this one, at all. And that's an easy fix, some 2,000-pound epoxy or some gel super glue and a little bit of time, and it should be fine. This striker has nice 90-degree angles, then I believe this could be easily kept up at 90 degrees with just a file. The fellow that I got this from told me that he did use the wet fire because he'd never had one before and he wanted to see what it was like, and he replaced it with tinder straws. There's one large one and 5 mini ones in here. And once I use those up, I'll probably replace them with Tinder Quicks. I like Tinder Quicks because they work quite well, and they're not messy, and they're compact. Pardon me, I'll wet my whistle here. So anyway, it's kind of interesting that the price is about the same 20 years down the line. I have no idea where this one was made. It has nothing about its place of manufacture on it. I've looked inside and outside and everywhere in between. This, I believe all UST products are made in China, and right here there's a stamp that in very, very, very small font that says China. Otherwise, they have exactly the same, except for the logo being different. They have the UST logo and Ultimate Survival Technologies and then Strikeforce, and then this one says Strikeforce and then Survival Incorporated, and then this is how you know they're the same. The US patent number is the same on both items. So I'm probably going to adhere the ferro rod with some form of adhesive, and then I will put this in a little kit that I'm going to have everything in it high visibility orange. So that was just a comparison. As I get older, I look at things that I bought a while back versus things I bought now and that were made now, and this was made 20 years ago. This was made within the last 3 years, and they definitely have cheapened manufacturing of this, but they haven't lowered the price significantly. At least I paid about the same for them as I can remember. However, they're both make that little correction with affixing the ferro rod, and I believe you'll have a very serviceable tool that will fit it. They are not completely unfriendly to the pocket. They are bigger than most things you'd put in your pocket, but not grossly so. I have carried both in my pocket for a day just to see how they their wearability, their carryability, and they passed okay. I was certain I would get used to it eventually. I mean, everything can't be as pocket friendly as this Olight. The cat's pajamas flashlight, as I call it, or the mini Bic. But you have to make do sometimes. But anyway, they are both very good fire starters. One just needs a little aftermarket fix that they didn't want to take the time and expense to do on their own. And for that, I will give the new manufacturer 3 out of 5, but I'll give 4.5 to the original. just because nothing's perfect. It's really, really, really good though. Maybe 4.75 for the original, because it's close to perfect. Having the tender compartment, a robust ferro rod, and a tough, sharp striker, and all self-contained. I mean, I actually will go so far as to say if this hadn't been made 20 years ago, Exotac wouldn't have made the Nano Striker, because the Nano Striker is just a miniaturization and toughening up, making it out of machined aluminum instead of plastic, and even a titanium version. If I was independently wealthy, I'd get a titanium version of an Exotac Nano Striker, but just because if you're independently wealthy, you can afford to have something cost almost $200 on your keychain. Can't you? Not that I'm saying you would. Oh, I don't even know if this is still going. I don't know if we're still in Iraq, but this is from Camp Cuervo in Baghdad, Iraq. It was a archery club, because believe it or not, in modern warfare, soldiers and Marines have a lot of downtime. And downtime, when it's hot, dry, and flat, is incredibly boring. But we provided hunting and fishing magazines, books, DVDs, bows, arrows, arm guards, gloves and finger tabs, quivers, and targets for our servicemen. And I have to say that it allowed me to do two things that are very close to my heart. Promote traditional archery and bow hunting, and showing servicemen that somebody back here knows they're there and is appreciative and wants to help in some small way. I would urge you to seek out charities that do help American servicemen, like Wounded Warriors and others. War, as General Sherman said, is hell. Well, our servicemen and women have been to hell and come back, and we should do more for them. We should let them know they didn't go through that in vain, that we care about them, and we want them to be an integral part of our society that they helped preserve, protect, and defend. God bless, happy trails, and watch your top knot. And here's to all that served. May the Lord shine his countenance upon you